I joke and say this all the time. If the owner of my company woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, Tearah, we're selling elotes on the corner and now you got to push the cart, I would be like, all right, cool. Sounds great.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I've got Tearah Rice on. How you doing?
I am doing good. Happy to be here.
Of Eco Roofing Solutions, based out of Arizona. And you are an absolute killer when it comes to social media. So we're going to share the roofing social media playbook so that they see you everywhere. Because that's what you've gotten. People always tell you, I see you everywhere. Is that right?
Yep, that is the number one feedback we get is I see you everywhere. And it's always so funny to me because we are not everywhere. You know, like we don't have any billboards up. We're not dumping tens of thousands of dollars into SEO. We are on social media. We're online. We're posting. We're telling our story. We're doing the thing. So that's what they're seeing. They're seeing us every time they open their phone. And that's giving them the impression that we are everywhere across the valley here in Arizona.
Let's do what the sales coaches tell us to do and get behind the objections before they come up. It is crazy how many people know they should be doing this, but don't seem to do it. So what do you think it is that's holding them back? A lot of people know they should be posting, but they don't.
Automate your communication with Proline, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs.
We had 200% growth, and I attribute that to Proline.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
Proline's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday.
Yeah. So as someone who posts 4 times a day across multiple platforms every single day, I get it. So the funny thing is I lied to get this job. When my boss interviewed me, he said, how much do you know about social media? I said, I know all of the things about social media. I know like algorithm things and posting things. I had no idea. So that's why I feel like I have the best perspective when it comes to that fear and not knowing what to do. So I got the job that was way out of my league, director of marketing for a roofing company. I didn't even know anything about roofing. I just knew I loved this company and I loved the industry and I wanted to be a part of it. So I was in sink or swim mode. I had to learn social media and I had to learn it fast and I had to figure out what things worked and what didn't work. And so I know firsthand where the fear comes from. I think one of the main factors is just getting on and watching yourself on screen, talking, feeling like an imposter. Like, what am I doing here? I hate the sound of my voice. I don't like the way I look. And so we tend to over criticize ourselves and what we're saying, how we're saying it, how we look. So I would say that is the first thing and most impactful thing. Secondly, it's time. You know, like you probably started a roofing company because you're good at roofing. And nowadays, if you're not an influencer, you're in the dark ages. And so I think so much of that comes from having a business and running a business is extremely time consuming. So finding out when to film content, who should I hire out, when to post. And the thing about social media is when it comes down to it, it's not so much what you post, it is how consistent you are in your posting. You have to know your brand and you have to be consistent. And it's one of those things I always attribute it to to fitness. You know, you have to put in the work. Nobody can substitute you showing up for your own business. The same as like the fitness world. Nobody can paste the abs on you no matter how much you pay them. Even if you pay someone to run your social media, you still have to show up. You still have to tell the story. You still got to get in front of the camera because the Canva posts, the like ads, like those aren't going to do it. They want to know you and they want to buy in. They want to be a part of what you're doing. So I think those are 2 really big hurdles. It seems so simple, but it's not. It's not if you've never done it. It's not simple.
I think people also like they'll post for a little bit. Like they'll do like 3 episodes of a podcast or they'll spend a couple weeks during the non-busy season trying to take a shot at social media and then they stop and they're like, well, it didn't work. It's like, well, it's actually so much more what can you stick with? And then the other one is that you get a little bit of negativity, right? There's always somebody something crazy, it kind of messes up your day. And so then people say, I don't really want to post if there's going to be negativity because I actually am trying to stay in a positive mode. I'm also selling or leading people. I don't want to have that negativity. So those are the two other ones I see all the time. Lack of consistency and then get thrown too far off by haters.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big hurdle for me to overcome early on in this industry. I wasn't used to people making negative comments or even friends or family being like, oh, it's so cringy. You show up like that online. And now fast forward 3.5 years later, I love when you think that my post is corny, comment about it. I love if you don't agree, drop a, tell me how much like you hate it. Right. Because there's a space for that. A, they're driving more business to your page, but B, like, let's talk about it, like, let's have a conversation, like, let's open it up. And that is the power of social media, is that, it doesn't just bring negativity. It brings people into a room and a space that would never be there otherwise. So embrace it. Embrace all of the corniness. Embrace exactly who you are, because there's a lot of people that don't work with me. I'm a woman in a male dominated field, and I'm up on the roof. I do not do the roof work. I won't pretend like I do. But I'm up there filming. I'm up there talking about roofing, and that irks people. People don't like that sometimes. And I didn't, at first I was like, well, I'm just going to stop posting on the roof. I'm just going to stop doing those things because I don't want them to think I'm trying to be someone that I'm not. But in reality, I was just being who I am, and realized that those people that do know, like, and trust us are like die hard for eco. They're die hard for me, And so that is ultimately who you want. And so if you show up in your most authentic self, and you mentioned something along the lines of finding like what actually works for you. And I think a lot of that is like timing, like how often, when, but but a lot of that too is what type of content feels good when you post it, right? Talking videos are not always going to feel good at first. And so maybe you start your social media journey where you're filming B-roll. You set up a tripod and you just do your normal day where you can put words over it. Maybe you're starting in a different
Those
capacity.
videos are doing so well right now, right? Like if you kind of can
Everybody
meme it
loves
a little
them.
bit,
Yes.
find templates where you can kind of meme it. There's a lot of, if you start looking for them and like sending them back and forth between you and your teammates, your whole feed will be that. Just these templates that you can reuse that are like meme type templates. And it doesn't have to be original. A meme is on purpose, like in the definition of meme means reuse. You're reusing something else that you find, and it's okay to do that too. I'm not saying that's all you do, but if you mix those in, they're very good for getting views. So
yes, and it's such a great way to start, where you can just show what you actually do in your real life, what your day-to-day looks like. So many homeowners, they have no idea what it looks like in the day of the life of a roofer, right? And so, if they can build that trust and that connection, you don't have to necessarily talk in front of the camera. And if you are comfortable there, start there. I think that there's so much pressure around social media that you have to, every like social media 101 class says like, you have to be posting reels. You have to be doing this. You have to be doing that. When first and foremost, you just need to show up in whatever capacity you can. Show up in what feels right. If posting at 10 p.m. feels right. My first two videos, I think that went viral forever ago. One was of me blinking. I posted it at midnight because I didn't have enough posts out that day. So while there is an algorithm, it
isn't that
changes.
crazy how that happens?
Yeah. Like I literally went to bed and woke up and I had like 2 million views on a video of me blinking. So that just shows you that like, I didn't think twice about that video. The ones I think, I'm like, this is it. I'm getting 85 leads from this one reel right here. And it's like 2 likes. Good night. Nobody cares. Right. So it's showing up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that's one reason why like it's hard for like people to like post once a day, and I think that's a really good baseline. I want to get into your social media playbook so they see you everywhere. I want you to go through specifically what you do, but I want to note, I think the tough part about posting one per day, if that's it, then that's all you get. That's your experiment for the day and it's gone. And if it does 300 views, you're done. You know what I mean? So part of the reason I like posting more than once per day is because I have more shots at something. It's like the more reps you get. That's why it's so good as a roofing salesperson to do role play, because you get these extra reps instead of just the ones you get at the door or whatever. You get extra reps by role playing. I think of social media as practice a little bit. Like I'm just practicing all the time. And if I practice 3 times a day by posting 3 times a day, then I get a lot of feedback. I get a lot of feedback from the internet about what's going to work, and it comes so much quicker. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying if you have time and you want to, and if you're kind of professional at marketing, you're trying to be a professional marketer, whether you're a business owner or not. At this point in the game, you should try to be a professional marketer. But let's talk about your playbook. What are you guys doing specifically that helps people see you everywhere?
So, in regards to seeing us everywhere, social media, as I told you, I post 4 times a day, and 3 out of those posts are typically straight to Instagram. I do post across multiple platforms, but I do four organic posts, meaning like 4 different posts per day. So exactly to what you just said. I don't do one single video and then share it across 4 different platforms, because like you said, like that was my one shot. If it's a dud, like I just missed that whole day. And so it doesn't matter what platform it's on. While some things do better on certain platforms, that's a story for another day. I typically will put out 3 to 4 different videos per day, every day, which sounds outlandish to people who are just getting into social media. But the reason that we do that is because A, it keeps everything fresh. B, I am probably like you in the fact that I would die if I only had one post every day, because I have so much to talk about with my company. I have so many different things I want to share. It would be hard to keep it to one post a day and still be able to convey all of the things that I need to convey or that I want to convey. So yes, like where people see us everywhere is when they. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you said stories as well. Stories is a big part of your strategy. By the way, I feel like you're probably younger than me, but we're not going to talk about specifics, but I feel like I didn't understand stories. I think that this is where I have to listen to people that are like a little younger than me that kind of get the strategy behind stuff. Because I was posting too many things as static posts on Instagram. And I think by listening to people 10 years, 15 years younger than me, they're like, that's like a lot of this should be stories, brother. So like I kind of got I realized a little late that like if it's more for the people that care about you, it's not for the general public. It's people that like are following you and like friends and stuff like that. It's really stories is where a lot of this stuff goes down. I think a lot of people don't even post on stories because they're like, well, it's just gone that day.
Yeah. No, I love that you bring that up. Stories to me are like the supplemental to they're like the side dishes to the meat, right? So, and that's kind of how I view those is like, like I have my 4 like big things that I post about. And then yes, because stories are not pushed out to the whole world, that is where you really build on the relationships that you already have, right? That's where one of my number 1 lead sources is this girl who still calls us eco roofing when we're eco roofing. She sends me so many leads, and the only reason she sends me leads is because she has a Weimaraner that she's obsessed with, and so do I. And I take her relationship so seriously because like our connection happened in those stories, right? Because that's where I put me and my dog doing office visits. That's where I put me and my dog getting ready. Whereas like sometimes I'll post about him like on my main page. But that's more of like a at home. That's like a behind the scenes. That's more of like a intimate view into my life. But that's how she started working with me. Like I put my daughter in, like in her roofing shirt or, at cheer practice. Like that's where my stories go really, is like more of that intimate, like at home feel where people can really get to know me on on more of a personal level. And some of that goes into the bulk of my posts. But I think that all of those like warm and fuzzies and the side stuff is definitely more story worthy. I do a lot of like, oh my gosh, today's been crazy. Like, let me tell you about what just happened. And like those all happen in the stories because so many great conversations stem from the stories. And that's a good way to look at it is like opening up the conversations in the DMs, that comes from stories. People are more likely to write you when they're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like I'm a single mom with a 13-year-old daughter as well. Like, that's so cool to see you like working in the trades. I get that all the time. And now we have an open dialogue. And then when she needs a roof, she's not shopping other roofers. She's already on my side. She's not bringing out 3 other people. She's reaching out to me in my DMs directly to be like, Tearah, like my roof is leaking. I need you to come out. And so I think that's where the true magic happens when it comes to stories.
Does your company want to build your brand and get more jobs in the neighborhoods you're currently working in?
The Brick by Brick Playbook allows you to establish your brand, your reputation, and gain trust in any neighborhood in your service area with a series of 4 postcards sent once a week to the neighbors of your current jobs. If you want to get more work in the neighborhoods you're currently working in, get with the team at Dope Marketing and get your Brick by Brick Playbook set up today.
I want to do more of what you're doing with like the documenting and like not needing to put it on a static post or a reel. I don't know. I think the kids would call what I do is like has been a little bit boomery where I have to post it on like the main feed to feel like it even happened. But I think the way I've done it is memes on my stories. I'm just like I'm keeping it fresh. I'm kind of like I spend too long trying to find these memes because I'm like, it has to make me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
For it to go on the main story. But once one other thing though, you're the marketing director for a roofing company, but your personal page is where so much of this marketing is happening. Talk to me about that. I think a lot of people are missing that component.
Yes. And that is the secret sauce. And that is very, very intentional. And so I think I have a good perspective because I'm not the business owner, right? Like I could, like essentially, I don't have skin in the game, right? I could go to any roofing company, but I rep my roofing company like it is my own business. And so the strategy behind having my page and versus me just posting on the Eco Roofing Solutions page is that growing a business page is not as easy. And that's just comes from a psychological level. I majored in marketing. And so there's a lot of psychology that goes behind how people interact, especially with businesses. And so when they see Eco Roofing Solutions, they expect that to be a business. Their brain in turn tells them, I'm going to be sold here. They have a product, they have a service, they're going to sell me. And this is a subconscious thought. And so basically, when I joined the team, it was very important to me to start my own. I started my page when I started with my company only 3 years ago. And what that did is, like Not Your Average Roofer made it very clear that I am a roofer. I'm a woman in roofing, so which is not your common roofer. But also it took away the business aspect. Well, I only post about eco. Psychologically, it takes people out of that, like, I'm going to be sold and puts them into like, oh, this is so cool. I can connect with this page. And so it's funny. I post pretty similarly on both pages, except for Eco Roofing. I use as like a knowledge-based landing page almost for the company, and where it's very warm and friendly. It is more like product knowledge. It is more like our core values as a company. It's the whole team. It's the owner. And then my personal page is obviously everything you've seen, where it is like why I work here, why you should I like partner here. It talks about exactly what I just said in regards to like, I have options. I choose to be at this company. Every business owner is going to say their company's the best. They own it. Of course they think it's the best. But as an employee, I bring such a different aspect to the company. And I think that is shown in having the 2 different social medias, and where where it's overwhelming. Even the owner of our company, he has a separate social media page. His is Your Bearded Roofer, where he also piggybacks with the eco page. And so like, I think I have 27,000 followers or something on my personal page, whereas the ecos page has like 4,000. And it's
Yeah, it's
just
hard to
different the
grow a
way.
company page. I think it's just
Very hard.
that people need to know if you're trying to do all the things we're saying, like 3 posts, 4 posts a day, 10 stories, be super authentic, but you don't do that one thing, which is use your personal page and go no holds barred and just go all in.
Be a savage about it. Be a savage about
Yeah,
your company. That's who
yeah,
people are going to use. Be cringy. Be corny. It's
yeah.
your company. And if you don't feel that way and people don't feel that, like, why are they going to want to partner with you? They're not. They're not.
And talk to me about how this goes back and forth with referrals, because from what I understand, you're not just purely, it is brand, but you're not just purely looking for leads. You're using your social media page to benefit referral partners and then to attract referral partners as well. And you guys do a lot with realtors. How do you think about like social media and referrals going hand in hand?
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely leverage my page in regards to like power partners and things like that. Like I tag people in everything. I make videos with my power partners. Like, hey, I'm out here with John Smith with Joe Schmo Realty, and we're about to jump up on this roof. Like, he's such an amazing agent because he, loves to do a pre-listing. And so we're going to go out and make sure there's nothing wrong with the roof before we even put the house on the market. And so when we do things like that, it builds rapport with those referral partners because they're like, wow, like they're putting us on their page. I tag their business. And while, when it comes to real estate or a real estate or restoration, whoever we're partnering with, we have to have those open, candid conversations that we don't work with just one restoration company, right? And we don't work with just one real estate agent. But I think as long as you're honest with your referral partners and you find other ways to make that business cohesive in regards to, I couldn't possibly hand a home sale to every real estate agent that I work with. There's just not, I don't have enough of those, right? But there's so many ways that I can serve them and serve their business in regards to sponsoring their events, posting them on our social media, giving them all of our praise online and in our community events. So, another big factor, and this is where we like to highlight this also on social media, is having a servant's heart. Instead of sitting back and thinking like, what are my referral partners going to do for me? What are they going to send me? What leads are going to come my way? If you approach everything with with a service first mentality, all the leads and the referrals come naturally, so it's like, how can I help you? What can I do in your restoration business? What can I do, in your insurance business? How can I show up for you? And so when you come that way, and especially when your social media is aligned with those values, that's where the referrals, whether it be from a power partner or a home that you already did their roof, one of the number one things we get is, we did a roof and now we're doing 13 homes in the neighborhood. And that's because like I'll often show up at a house and put up an easy up and have some donuts there so that the neighbors can come over. Right. And then we post that on our social media. So also on
That's
social
awesome.
media, they're still seeing all of that. And so there's just so much power in showing what you're doing and displaying that in an authentic way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Can I ask you like nitty gritty question here? So you're saying you do pursue a lot of realtors and things like that and some social media, but like there is an element of like, if you're aligning too much with certain realtor or something like that, that it might scare off other realtors. Is that what you're saying? Is there anything like, give me the real meat and potatoes? I don't think most of the realtors are going to watch all the way through this. This is for roofers. So how can they do this better in a way that doesn't scare off other realtors, but maybe leverages some of the other stuff?
Yeah, so we actually deal with this a lot in the real estate world, especially in restoration world. I don't know what it is about restoration, but like they do oftentimes, not all of them, like to play nice in the sandbox. If you work with them and they work with you, they want you exclusively. So I run into this a lot, in both of those worlds. And just like I kind of mentioned, I think so much of that comes from having honest conversations. I've gotten very good at taking my power partners to coffee, or reaching out and having a very real conversation of like, hey, I know that I work with a lot a lot of real estate agents, and just letting them know that like we provide a great service, we love working with agents, and with that, this is the bread and butter of our business. And just talking about a large part of it too is that we don't work with just anybody. We don't work with just any agent. We don't work with any insurance person, because we are in a cohesive business deal. And by saying that, it sounds scary to be like, we don't work with just any agent. If you don't align with us and this isn't a give and take on both parts, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, this isn't going to work for you or for me. And sometimes having those conversations, people are like, well, I'm going to scare them off. So what? There's other people that are going to align. So if you're kind, and if you're black and white, and if you talk to them, and if you let them know and just have those conversations, those are the people that are going to align with you. And so they won't feel jealous or put off when you're posting about other agents. I think it shifts the mindset into like, oh, that's also another really great agent in the valley, right? So it kind of takes away that like competitiveness and brings it into more of like a collaborative atmosphere, if that.
Okay. So it's being upfront. I like that, and not acting like you're going to be exclusive, because that's where people probably get annoyed.
I would never say that I'm going to be exclusive.
I like that. I got 3 more things that I want to chat with you about. We can be kind of brief on them, a couple more, like a couple minutes per. But first, giveaways, events, charity dinners, and community involvement and giving. So like the first one, giveaways. How do you do those, and how does that interact with your social?
So giveaways is the number one way to grow, especially a business page. I have found the most success with doing frequent giveaways of things that people want. And it's very standard.
How big does it have to be? Like, is it a couple $100 enough? Like, how big does the giveaway need to be?
So I think it needs to be substantial enough to where people are like, yeah, it's worth it, because like typically it's like my Not Your Average Roofer page, like Eco Roofing Solutions, and comment on this post, right? Not a big deal. And follow both pages. So like I typically give away like Yeti coolers are my number one. People always want to win a Yeti cooler. And that's because who wants to spend $400 on a cooler? You want it, but you don't want to buy it. So trying to think of items that are like that, like a TV, like people give away TVs. We don't see a lot of success with that. Everybody has a TV. We all have them, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm more of like a cut to the chase kind of person, and it depends on the frequency. If if a $500 cooler is like out of your budget, then don't do a monthly giveaway. Do a quarterly giveaway, do a biannual giveaway, and really put everything you have into it. So I think you can do a giveaway based on where your budget is. And sometimes when you do a monthly giveaway, if the prizes are lower value, you're not going to see as much, because again, people will learn to just move past it. Like they're like, I'm not going to do all this for, a $70 gift card, right? That just may not feel worth it for them. Or maybe it does. And I think a lot of with social media is trying it out, seeing what works, and replicating the things that do work. But I do have a lot of success with doing quarterly giveaways with something like a Yeti, or just straight cash. People love a Visa gift card. And that's just the truth of it. I think we don't always have to make it so complicated, right? Times are tough out there. Who doesn't want $400 on a Visa gift card that they can use for whatever they want?
All right.
Not to make it complicated.
I'm in. All right. Next, events or charity dinners. What have you guys done with events that's actually helped grow the business, or how do you see that in your marketing mix?
If you truly believe in what you're doing and you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to build a great organization, there's no other place to do that besides the Roofing Academy.
Yeah, so we do a lot of events here at Eco, and that's because we partner with a lot of real estate. We partner with a lot of insurance agents. So we do lunch and learns. So basically, our general events run anywhere from lunch and learns to uh, 3,000 person conference. And in the event world, I've learned so much about what doesn't generate business. You can waste so much money on events and sponsorship. And really what it comes down to for me is anytime you can get in a room and you can have one-on-one FaceTime with somebody. So like lunch and learns, always. Never buy pizza, never buy sandwiches. Go get a normal person lunch from a restaurant, show up and ship out. If you're going to do it right. Sit down, have lunch, eat with those people, really connect. So those are always amazing events to say yes to. On a bigger scale, if you're going to say yes to a bigger event, like typically events have like silver, gold, platinum. Choose the level of event where you get speaking time. You don't want to say yes to any expensive event that you do not get to speak in front of them. And that is tough. Everyone's like, oh, we could put your logo on a shirt. Don't care. Don't care. Oh, your logo is going to go on the flyer. We're going to blast you out on our social media. Your social media with 300 people? No, thanks. That's not, I'm sorry, but like the ROI on that is just not there. The connection is just not there for me. So, so for us, if we can't get up and say, this is why we're fiery, this is why I do what I do, this is why I'm so passionate about the company I work for, you're not going to be able to connect with my logo. There's not enough brand awareness there because we already do that on our social media. So it's not worth $1,000 to have our logo on something. It's just not. There's no golf bench out there that's worth that money. So I've tried every single one, and people hate hearing this, but I am firm in that belief. As far as community events, you always say yes to any community outreach event you can do. They're typically very inexpensive. If you don't know where to start with your local chamber. I'm part of Gilbert Chamber of Commerce here in Arizona, and I'm telling you, the chamber is typically business owners that have been in the chamber, been a business owner for centuries. These are not like your new businesses. These are people that are ingrained in the community. And once you sign up for something like that, majority of the events are free, or they're $35 or they're $300 to sponsor. So cost wise, you're getting a lot more return on what you're investing. And you're also connecting with the community that you work in, because you're selling a service, you're selling yourself. And so building that rapport, I call it 5 Mile Famous. I did not make that up. Somebody else did. I just live by it. My goal is to leave my house and to see somebody I know everywhere I go, right? And I wear my Eco shirts like 99% of the time. I wear them to the gym, and I don't own this company. But community events are very important in that regard because, again, it displays what you do.
Tearah, like, you got some fire in you and you're also cool. How does somebody get a marketing manager like you? I mean, they're very lucky to have you.
Good. I'm just kidding. No, I always joke and say the reason I'm good at this job is because I am a full-blown psychotic crackhead. I am the most type B person that there is. And so much of this comes from the type of personality that I have, just going with the flow. And if people saw my day to day, like type A people would just literally keel over and die. The funny thing is I found my company. I saw the owner of my company speak at a BNI meeting that I was subbing at. And I walked up to him after and I was like, I have to work for your company. And he's like, that's so weird. Like, you're here with another company. And I was like, I have to work here. And so that's kind of how it unfolded. He didn't even interview me. And it's so funny. I joke about this all the time because had he interviewed me, he may not have hired me because he's like, this lady's freaking crazy. But back to the question. I think if you're looking for somebody who, to fill a role like mine, to represent your company as if it was your own, the number one thing is asking them, like, what are your values? What do you align with? And what does your day-to-day look like? And what are you looking for in a job? Because we're actually hiring here at my company in my same position, and it's very difficult. The reason I love this so much is that I put in 60-hour work weeks, but I have a flexible schedule, which is really important to me as a single mom. I get to pick my kid up from school. I get to take her to school. And, my core values as a mom, as a human, as a woman of faith, all align with my company. And so because we are so in sync, I joke and say this all the time. If the owner of my company woke up tomorrow and said, you know what, Tearah, we're selling elotes on the corner and now you got to push the cart, I would be like, okay, cool. Sounds great. And the reason why, it doesn't matter. Like, I forget I'm selling roofs half the time. So when you're looking for an employee, you're looking for somebody who buys in to your values, buys into who you are, less so about your product, especially in my role. In sales, you probably have to be more product heavy. But it didn't matter what my company was selling. I would be there and I would represent it in the same way because I know that we're offering the best customer service. I know that we use the best products out there. And I know that if we do something wrong, we're going to make it right. And I stand by that. So if you're looking for a marketing person, absolutely, you want to make sure that a person aligns with your values and your mission above anything else.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't think you're just brilliant. I think you're driven. And that is something that they're very lucky to have over at that company. Is there any way we could be useful to you at the end here as a call to action, anything you want to share, or are you just being generous with us?
No, I don't think there's anything. Honestly, for all the roofers out there, I've learned in this industry from someone who didn't come from roofing, always do what's right. Don't be the one that puts money first. Put your community first in everything that you do. It doesn't always have to be the full roof. As long as you're being honest and ethical, they're always going to come back.
Thank you so much. And the podcast is put on by hookagency.com. And I am ending the podcast reading a review for Hook Agency so people know what we do. Let's see, I got a recent review here from Colton Roberts. He said, Hook has been an amazing partner for our company. They have redesigned our website to align with our new branding and vision. They continue to do a great job optimizing our SEO and increasing our rankings, along with being super communicative and easy to reach. I highly recommend them for any marketing needs. Thank you, Colton. And appreciate you being on. Thank you, Tearah.
Thank you.
They're so thorough with every detail of the website. Working with Hook, the design is probably 50x better than any other design I've ever had. Their team is super communicative. And I mean this genuinely. I'm happy to pay you guys to work with us. It's been a tremendous experience.